everybody, how's it going? It's Friday. Hope you're going to have an amazing weekend. Let's get started with SMG Viewers Comments, episode number 198. Let's get right to it.
What do you think that all bands that go to a studio should bring in for their recordings for getting instruments and bass strings?
Just a positive attitude, a professional attitude of like, let's get shit done. Let's get things done as quickly as possible and efficiently as possible and not waste anyone's time. That should be the biggest thing, is not wasting time. Other than that, I'd say maybe a few more practical things, like maybe some snacks or some extra cash if somebody's got to run out for coffee or food or anything like that. That always makes good sense. And USB sticks. I always find if I need to throw the band a file or two or something like that, hey, you got a USB stick? No. Why the fuck not? They're fucking dirt cheap. You should just be carrying one on you at all times as a musician in case you need to get files sent from place to place. Yes, you can Dropbox stuff, sure, but that is just an extra layer of fiddliness that you have to deal with to get shit done that you want to get done. USB sticks, you can just copy a file directly, no bullshit, there you go, done. Bring one to the fucking studio, just don't even ask, just do it.
Hey Glenn, I always see you in front of the magic knobs and the PC monitor in your control room. Do you mix there? If so, are you using just a mouse and keyboard to mix, or do you use a controller? I've always liked the tactile feel of faders while mixing. What's your stance on using a console as opposed to a controller, or as opposed to a mouse and keyboard? Best wishes from Orlando, also fuck you, Glenn.
Hey Rob, that's a very fine question. Yes, I use a mouse and keyboard to mix. I've been doing it that way for years. Back in the early 2000s, I think right around 2002, I got myself a Mackie control. It was an 8-channel fader board that I used with Sonar, because that's what I was working with back then. And you know what? It was pretty good for Sonar. I like doing some of the automated fades and that kind of stuff. It was neat. You know, the thing is, when I switched over to Saw Studio, the interface was so tight, I just found myself using the mouse and never, ever touching the Mackie control. So I sold it because it just became a very expensive paperweight. And when I switched over to Reaper, you know, I got so used to working that way, I really didn't miss it. Back over here, we've got a DigiDesign Control 24 that's not being used at all because the power supply burned out on it. And again, I don't think anyone's really missing it. We might have something super special planned for coming in here at Harmony in the next couple weeks. We're going to see what happens. Should be pretty fucking sick, though. I can't get any details out yet. I just don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Just stay tuned. Really, there's no right way or wrong way of doing it. It's just whatever you're comfortable with and whatever your pocketbook can handle, because some of those controllers can be really damn expensive. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a poll up right here. I wanna know from you guys, are you mixing with a mouse and keyboard, or are you using some kind of DAW controller with motorized faders? Let me know. I'd really like to know what you're using, and if you are using one, let me know in the comments below what exact brand you guys are using and what you think is an economical solution to be using.
Glenn, I have a simple question. Real amps, preamp output plus IR versus amp sim plus IR, and etc. I have a DI, so I can still record the source.
Hey, Frederick, what you actually want to do is you want to record the amp's speaker out with one of these. This is a 2-notes torpedo captor, and this is an active load box. Or a reactive load box, sorry. So your amp will see that as a proper speaker load and sound accordingly. That with IRs is absolutely fucking badass. Some amp sims are getting pretty damn good. I'm very impressed with the Neural DSP stuff, but I don't think you can beat, you know, the real thing like this Rev Generator 100P I've got sitting here. If anything, I still very much prefer the hybrid system to going just straight digital, but the technology is certainly getting a lot better these days. And here's the thing, if you're just recording guitar and you just want to get great sounds without any dicking around, yeah, definitely go with the IRs, because it will get you to where you want to go very quickly. Myself, it took me 8 or 10 years to learn how to record a guitar amp correctly, just through a lot of experimentation. So IRs can definitely help you, shortcut that whole process and just get you great results without any fucking around. Hey everybody, just gonna break in here. Want to let you know that my new lesson, Mixing Symphonic Folk Metal, is out. It's featuring the band Protocol, and the song's called Flight of the Winged Hussard. You guys know it because you've been listening to it as background music on the show for the last 4 years, and now I've turned it into a 7-hour video lesson, and there's over 75 tracks to work with. So if you've ever wanted to know how to mix a song in metal with, huge guitars, but it has layers of dense keyboards. This is the lesson for you. And it's got all kinds of vocals. It's got screaming metal vocals, black metal vocals, operatic vocals. And it's also going to show you guys how to work with a live drummer and edit it and get it to sound big without having to resort to samples. It's my most ambitious lesson to date, and there's even a premium version that includes my signature impulse response pack from Lancaster Audio. Links in the description below. Please have a look.
My bandmates are getting annoyed that I'm writing a lot of music, and I'm wondering, should I stop?
Tell your bandmates to fuck off. Really, they're getting upset that you're writing songs. They should be grateful that they have somebody who can crank out songs. That's the thing. It sounds like your bandmates would have been perfect in Creedence Clearwater Revival. That's the exact same thing that happened to that band. That's what broke that band up. Was John Fogerty wrote all the songs because he could just crank them out and write hits. And then by the last album, the rest of the bands were like, well, we want to do things equally. We want to do this as a democracy, and we want equal parts in the songwriting process. And the record they put out was the worst pile of shit ever. Bands shouldn't be democracies. Bands should be, let's do what the talented guy does, because chances are it's going to pay off in the long run. So my suggestion would be do what you're good at, and if that pisses off your bandmates, go find a different band. Go find some people who are going to support you. Because if you're writing songs and they're good, keep doing it.
Hey Glenn, cheers from Michigan. My band is just starting to finish up our first EP and wanting to start gigging as soon as we can. My question is, what gear should you need to actually make the performance happen besides the amps and cabs? Basically, your preferred gigging gear for clubs and such. Thank you so much for the amazing content. Oh, and fuck you, Glenn.
I already kind of touched on this in the truth about expensive gear for local bands. Don't get too worried about buying a shit ton of gear if you're just playing your first few gigs, because chances are the only people who are going to be there are the other bands and their girlfriends and maybe your parents, if that's the case. Getting hung up on spending tons of money on expensive gear isn't going to do you any good. If you're looking for stuff you might need maybe some floor wedges, for monitoring, or some in-ears or that kind of thing. That's usually one of the big problems for bands, is just being able to hear themselves. That should be the first thing you look at instead of dropping tons of money on super expensive amps and that kind of shit. Just make sure you can hear yourselves. That's the important thing. And some good microphone stands as well. You might want to bring those, because chances are the bars you're going to be playing might have microphone stands, but they're probably beat to shit and don't work very well. Bring your own mic stands and label them so people know they are yours, so you can pull them off stage and nobody else is going to fuck with them. You're far better off dealing with your own gear in that respect than taking a chance on what the bar may or may not have. I've been to far too many shows where I've seen an SM57 miking up a guitar amp that's actually being hung over the front and pointed at the floor. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Tip for everyone running a studio: get a useless box. It might keep the bass players entertained for hours.
For those of you guys who don't know what a useless box is, you flip a switch, a little hand comes out, motorized hand comes out and pushes the switch back, and then goes back in its little compartment. And you just keep doing that over and over and over again. Yeah, real fun. Actually, Warren had one up at his place, and I came up there a while ago and I'm like, hey, Warren, what happened to the useless box? And he's like, Yeah, the thing about the useless box is it's noisy and distracting. And if you actually want to get work done, yes, make them bass players go play with it outside. In the rain, hopefully. Or better yet, just in traffic.
Hey Glenn, have you ever worked with any of the diesel stuff when tracking guitars? Love your work. Your knowledge has really helped over the years. Oh, and fuck you, Glenn.
Simon Breeding Steel. What the hell kind of name is that? Anyway, diesel stuff. I've got a diesel preamp module for the Synergy amp that I am going to demo at some point. I'll plug it in here and there. It's pretty fucking sick, to be honest with you. But I haven't recorded any full-blown diesel amps, but I've heard some great things about them. I know my very good friend Henning Pauly over at HP42 Studios really digs his. So if you're on the fence about going to buy one, I'd say yes, but also make sure you check out a Rev too, because they're pretty damn wicked.
So I'm having a hard time with mixing versus mastering. I know that mixing is about levels and mastering is about boosting everything, but I'm not sure what my song should sound like before mastering. YouTube hasn't helped much since a lot of people have different opinions.
Oh man, okay, all right, let me stop you right there. Mastering is not about turning everything up. No! Mastering originally was how they got stuff from tape onto an acetate so they could cut a vinyl record. You needed an engineer to sit there and make a master disc that would be cloned and would make tens of thousands of copies. You needed somebody to cut that acetate without, cutting a hole right into it when the levels got too hot. So that's where the mastering engineer came in. Mastering for CD became, unfortunately, about making things a little bit louder and then a lot of bit louder until you got shit like Saint Anger. Seriously though, all mastering is making sure the songs are a consistent level from song to song on a record. Sequencing them, finding the best order of the songs, and doing the heads and tails, the intros and the outros, the beginnings, and then the fade-outs, that kind of thing. That's all mastering really is. There's some EQ tweaks that go into place to make sure things will translate from system to system, but it's not about making things as loud as possible. And if you want to know how to master for YouTube, turn your shit down. Because guess what? If you don't, YouTube will. And that's a very good thing. And I really have to do the Loudness Wars episode and how they're over and how it's much better. I really have to do that. And you know what? I got a great mix room in here. I think I am going to do that. So thank you for bringing that up. And please remember, if you're putting stuff up on YouTube, it doesn't have to be super loud. If you're putting it out on CD, yes, you can make it super loud, but you're just going to make it sound worse.
Are you doing another mix contest this summer?
Hey, Billy, great question, and the answer is I'm not sure yet. I still have to announce the winners for the last contest, and, the last episode I did, I got a lot of angry comments because some people didn't see their videos featured on my show, and it's just, the whole level of entitlement there. Oh, I should have won. Well, first and foremost, I never promised anybody that I would put their video on my show. If I didn't get to you, I apologize for that, but I just had to get things done. And I think I did do an episode where I lost a file or something like that, and I just didn't have time to redo everything. So that's what happened there. So I still have to announce the winners for that one, and yes, they are coming. But like I said, it just kind of pissed me off, just the level of venom I got from so many people. Well, I should have won that. Well, you know what? I'm the guy making the fucking choices there, not you. I'll pick who I like. The other big issue is copyright. There's a huge copyright blitz going on YouTube these days, so I'm not sure what I can do in terms of doing another contest. Like, we had a blast with Oldies But Baddies, but I really don't want to do, 5 or 6 episodes where I'm basically just handing out money to record companies, because that doesn't sound like fun at all. So I might come up with a different theme this year. I would have loved to do Oldies But Baddies like the 90s version, because we all know there was a lot of shit in the 90s that came out that would have been a lot of fun to make fun of, like Collective Soul and, Creed and just, craptacular bands like that. So if you guys really want to see another contest, I think we can do it, but I am going to have to talk to my multi-channel network, Studio 71, about the practicality of doing it. And hopefully, we won't get screwed on copyright. Let me know what you guys think.
Glenn, do you use any other RME equipment besides the Bandaids, like PCIe cards? It was suggested to me, but I am lost when looking at all the options.
Yeah, the RME stuff is absolutely killer. If you want a great interface and you're recording on a PC, yes, get the RME stuff. Their drivers are outstanding. You just really can't go wrong with anything they make. On my main machine back at Spectre, I'm using the Fireface UFX Plus, which is their flagship model. It is stellar in every way you can imagine. It's clean. The routing capabilities are amazing. I use the loopback feature all the time when I'm doing screen cap lessons, that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely awesome. I've got one of the older Hammerfall cards as well that I use in a portable recording rig, and that's got like a couple of ADAT inputs and outputs, and you can get those dirt cheap these days, actually, and they still have rock solid drivers. Maybe if you're looking to not spend a crap ton of money, look at some of the more used RME stuff. And I saw a couple other items at their booth at NAMM that I really do want to check out, just for getting more inputs and outputs out of a PC. I'm definitely going to investigate. But I will tell you this, I've been an RME user since about 2007, 2008. I got the Fireface 800, and everything I've used by them has been absolutely top-notch, stellar. Can't say enough good things about the RME brand.
Is there any difference between the mic preamps for extreme vocals compared to heavy or clean vocals?
Somebody's been spending way too much time on gear sluts. Guess what? If you're doing metal vocals, the preamps do not matter at all. The stuff we've got these days is so clean that you don't have to worry about it. A lot of the people who bitch about preamps are still stuck in the mindset of what was available cheaply back in the 70s and 80s, and those preamps sucked. But the specs on a modern board, even on the cheap Behringer and Mackie stuff, are freaking out of this world compared to what you used to get for the same money. So my suggestion would be, don't fucking worry about it. Just worry about making music. Look, if you're doing top tier multi-platinum records, you want to record Adele or somebody like that, yes, you're going to want top of the heap Class A or tube gear. You're going to want like a Neve or an API or something like that, or a Tube Tech, like some of the stuff we got in the rack back there. Yeah, absolutely still. You're going to want to use, the U47s, the U48s, the U87s, the super top end Neumann mics, or the new Roswells, or, the Lewitts or that kind of thing. But if you're recording metal vocals, just remember, you're recording metal vocals. It's a lot of screaming, and, you don't have to have the super hi-fi signal chain. Seriously, the differences you're going to get between, say, something on an interface like a Focusrite versus, say, a top-tier preamp are going to be so negligible, they're certainly not going to be worth the price difference. Not for metal, anyway. That's my opinion. So in the short term, please stop reading so many recording forums about the preamps you can't afford that you really don't need, and just start working on your songs.
Hey Glenn, I was absolutely gobsmacked yesterday when my neighbor was hammering at my door at 3 a.m. Jeez, so inconsiderate when I'm practicing fucking drums.
Well, Michael, I'm really glad you don't live next to me, because I probably would have been that neighbor. Oh, and fuck you.
Hey Glenn, just finished up mixing a song for the first time, and when I exported the song as an MP3 from Cakewalk, it seems like Cakewalk compressed the shit out of it. Is it normal to experience extra compression when exporting songs? Do you use less compression when mixing to anticipate the extra compression when the songs are exported? Also, fuck you, Glenn.
Well, Curtis, considering this is your first song that you've ever mixed, I'm wondering if you really know what compression is. It's easy to get confused with all this terminology. And you might be, because there's two types, really. There's amplitude compression, which you use on a normal signal, and then there's lossy compression, which you use on file sizes. And here's the trick. You want to make your MP3 quality, you want to set that to the maximum. MP3s came along in the 90s when everybody was still on dial-up and bandwidth was limited, so you wanted to shrink those audio files down into something much more manageable. These days, everybody's got broadband, so you really don't need to squeeze them down nearly as much. So what you want to do is you want to go into your MP3 settings and just set it for maximum quality and try that. Good luck, dude. Welcome to the wonderful world of recording. Don't worry, it does get easier.
Hey Glenn, what should input dB levels for recording guitar be? I've watched multiple videos that say -3 to -6, and others say that -12 to -18. Needless to say, I'm confused.
Now, this is something I've been getting into lately, is recording at a slightly less hot level. -6 is great, probably -10, -12 is going to be better. Just make sure you are recording 24-bit audio, because it puts that noise floor a whole shit ton lower than it would be at 16-bit. Very, very important that you do that. But -12, -10, -6, sometimes, somewhere around there, it should be absolutely fine. Just give yourself some headroom. That's one thing I've learned mixing in this room here at Harmony, is just turn everything down a little bit, and that gives you more headroom on your mix bus, and your mix will wind up sounding cleaner. So whoever's saying -12, that's very good advice, and that's what you should probably shoot for.
Glenn, what exactly do you mean by backing everything off for more breathing room? And in which application? Say older mixes, you are selecting all the tracks in the sessions and bringing them down simultaneously?
Hey, H-Bomb, this kind of touches on the previous question. Yeah, it's the same kind of idea. What I did with some of my older mixes is I pulled up the volume fader plug-in in Reaper and just dropped them all in place and dropped everything by 6 decibels. Suddenly, my mix came to life because I wasn't trying to squeeze all these super loud tracks into 2 tracks. Everything was a little bit quieter, and again, just gave a little bit more room for the signal to go up and down on that master channel. So very important you leave yourself headroom. This is all about gain staging, and it's something we should all learn at some point or another, and I really should do a freaking episode on that. And that all kind of relates back to the whole loudness wars thing as well. This is another tutorial I need to touch on and just show how big of a difference it can really make. Hopefully this clears things up for you a little bit in the meantime, but yeah, I'm definitely going to get on that tutorial.
Great tips, but naive question here. When can the guitarist tune when he is also the singer? This is an issue we met recently. He is engaging with the audience between songs.
That's a fine question. Usually most people can walk and chew gum, so there's no reason why your singer/guitar player can't have, tuner down on his pedal board or whatnot and tune, while talking to the audience. That shouldn't be too tough. And if it is, have your drummer play a drum solo or something in between one of the songs so it gives him a chance to tune up. But yeah, he's going to need to engage with the audience. That's the most important thing. So just figure a way out how to make that happen. Either that or have him have a second guitar on hand that is in tune and have somebody else keep them in tune for you. Otherwise known as a guitar tech. Just find a buddy to do it for him.
Glenn, I think getting sponsors outside the audio industry is the smartest thing to do, e.g. this RPG game. Don't get me wrong, but I wish you would go back to honest reviews with no nice words.
I did a couple of sponsorships with Raid Shadow Legends, and I was very happy to do them. A lot of you guys were like, hey, cool, you're not being sponsored by gear companies. This is great. If you're like, you fucking sell out, you fucking sell out. So here's the thing, if you're going to accuse me of being a sellout, hey, hit up my Patreon and, subscribe so I can do monthly Fearless Gear reviews because I love doing those. And, it's not cheap buying amps. The monthly Fearless Gear Review tier is at about 85% complete. So if you guys want to see more of those, believe me, I'm more than happy to do them. This month we did the Micro Shift, and I'm going to start taking a look at some other guitar amp sims that are commercially available because I think that's something you guys really want to see. Definitely keep your eyes peeled, and yeah, if something's a piece of shit, believe me, I will tell you it is a piece of shit because there needs to be more reviews like that out there other than just, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is great. And I gotta thank Recording Magazine for that. And it's about time somebody called them out on this. Because I read Recording Magazine religiously through the 90s and the 2000s. I had stacks and stacks and stacks of these magazines. I wound up giving them away a couple years ago. But I never saw a single bad review of anything in Recording Magazine. Not even fucking once. Apparently everything was awesome all the time. So I really didn't want to do that with my YouTube channel. So more reviews are coming. Please bear with me.
Would you rather be restricted to only ever using VST drums for the rest of your recording life or using the Line 6 Spider amps for the rest of your recording life?
Doesn't matter. If I had to do either of those, I'd probably quit. Seriously, I got into this to have fun and make records and enjoy it. And if I was being restricted like that, what would be the fucking point? I could go do Fearless Restaurant reviews or something like that. If you've seen a couple of my Instagram posts, those are kind of fun. That'd be maybe a fun YouTube show to do at some point. There's other ways to have fun, but yeah, there's no way in hell I would ever record VST drums or fucking the Spider exclusively. I don't care how much you fucking paid me. It's just like, the juice just wouldn't be worth the squeeze. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, please check out my new lesson, Mixing Symphonic Folk Metal with Protocol. It's really fucking badass. It's just fucking epic in its scope of 7 freaking hours. Took forever to do. And please have a look. Please check it out. And as always, keep those comments and questions coming. I love hearing from you guys. I love answering your questions. So if there's something you want to know about recording, please leave a question below and I will do my best to answer it. Hope you have an amazing weekend. And until next time, Hasadigi boy. Hey guys, if you liked the video, be sure to subscribe as I post every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. If you want to learn more about recording, check out one of my tutorials or one of my gear reviews if you want the actual honest truth about a piece of equipment. Till next time, stay metal, my friends.